What's up everyone? Marshall Mullen here with a new video for you today. Today I'm going to talk to you about the 3 turbo mountain bikes that I have. Some of you have probably seen my videos. I'm riding these bikes all over the world. I've taken the Kenevo, I've ridden that thing out into the desert, some big mountain terrain. I've taken the Levo, ridden that thing even through the city and through some wilderness trails. And recently I've been riding the Levo SL, which is a lighter, more nimble trail bike. I've taken that thing to a bike park. I've been having a blast on that thing. So what I'm going to do here is I want to walk you through all 3 of these bikes. I get a lot of questions from people on Instagram with some really great questions, but the most common question is, hey man, I love all your bikes, but if you could have one, what bike would you choose? That's a really good question. It's a hard question to answer. It's not a simple answer, but really what you have to do is look at the differences between all the bikes, and then once you fully understand them, it can help you make a decision. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through each bike here. We have the Kenevo, we have the Levo, and the Levo SL. These are the 3 main mountain turbo bikes from Specialized. So I'm going to break down the differences here. Let's start off with the Kenevo. The Kenevo is really the big, aggressive, downhill-oriented turbo mountain bike. Out of the box, this thing comes with 180 millimeters of travel, front and rear. The bike comes out of the box with a Boxer triple clamp fork at 180 millimeters of travel. And that's great. It's pretty amazing that you can get this bike out of the box, a turbo mountain bike with a triple clamp fork on it. Anyway, so this bike, 180 front and rear. The way I have my bike set up right here is I have a 29 wheel on the front with a 27.5 in the back. Just kind of personal preference. It's something I've been doing. This bike is really catering to sort of the downhill aggressive riding that one might do. So if you're someone who's going out there, you're riding really fast, big hits, aggressive terrain, this is going to be the turbo bike for you. It's very stable, it's very planted, the thing's very capable, the suspension works great. So this is taking care of those aggressive needs. With all those downhill capabilities, the Kenevo does not lack any climbing abilities. This bike is an incredible climber. I've taken this thing all over, and you can literally climb a wall on this thing. You can see I've done some videos out in Utah, and the climbing is just, it's insane. And then you turn around, you have a full downhill bike. So this thing is not lacking anything when it comes to climbing. The wheelbase on this bike is pretty long, so that's making this bike very stable. So it can still climb, but when you turn around, long wheelbase, very stable. Okay, that being said about the Kenevo, let's go over here to the Levo. The Levo is sort of your general all-around turbo mountain bike. So the power system on the Levo is the same as the Kenevo. They both use the 560 watt motor with the 700 watt battery. So they're putting out the same power. The differences in these 2 bikes is the Levo has a slightly steeper head angle. Steeper head angle, but also has a shorter wheelbase. So what those are doing for you is it's making this bike a little more nimble and playful. It doesn't get stuck up on corners quite as much as the Kenevo does. It has a long wheelbase, a little bit shorter, similar to a trail bike. It has like trail bike geometry, but still has the same power system as the Kenevo. This bike comes out of the box with 150 millimeters of travel, front and rear. I have the new Fox 38 fork on the front of this bike. I bumped it up to 160, just a personal preference thing, but this thing comes out of the box 150 front and rear, which is great. You should be able to ride anything on 150 millimeters of travel. That's a perfect all-around suspension setup. So that's the main difference with this thing. Slightly shorter wheelbase, steeper head angle, same power system, general all-around trail bike. This thing can do everything, really. With that being said about the Levo, let's go over here to the Levo SL. This is a new bike from Specialized, and basically it's the same bike as the Levo, but it has a smaller motor and smaller battery. So the power system on this bike is slightly less than the Levo. This is a 240 watt motor, so it's slightly less than the 560 on the Levo and Kenevo. So slightly less power on this bike, but it has the same 150 millimeters of travel front and rear out of the box. Same thing with this one. I got a Fox 36 on the front. I've lengthened it to 160, just personal preference, something I like to do. But as far as the difference between these two bikes, the biggest difference is in the power system. The other difference is in the rear chainstay. The chainstay on the SL is slightly shorter than the chainstay on the Levo. The SL here doesn't have quite as much power as the Levo does, so the Levo is a little bit longer in the back, and it helps on steep technical climbs. You know, if you have a shorter chainstay, it's easier to loop out on the back. So that longer one over there really helps with the amount of power that bike's putting out. So those are the main differences between these two bikes: power and shorter rear end on the SL. This bike, the SL right here, is very light. Out of the box, this thing, and the S-Works model out of the box, I believe it's 38 pounds. So that's really light for a turbo mountain bike. And a big point that you should note about this bike is the way this bike handles when pedaling it. The power output is much more similar to a normal mountain bike than it is an e-bike. These e-bikes, you can feel the power. But with the power system on the SL, it has a feel that's very similar to a normal mountain bike. This bike's built off the stump jumper, so when you're riding it, you really feel like you're riding a stump jumper. It's pretty cool. So for me, that's the biggest difference. There's a lot of confusion for these two bikes. Really, they're the same bike, less power over here, and it has a feeling that's more like a normal bike. And all that together is making this bike very nimble. You ride this thing, it's super light, nimble, flickable. So if you're someone who's kind of like a hardcore trail rider, and you don't really, or a mountain biker, and you don't really want to make the switch over to an e-bike because you're like, those bikes give too much power, I'm not going to get a workout, and that's not true. But if you think that's true, this is a great bike for you because the power output is very similar to a normal bike. You have to work a lot harder on this bike. It's great. You can keep up with people who are riding e-bikes. You can go ride, turn it off, and go ride with your friends who are on normal bikes. 38 pounds, that's pretty insane. So this bike's really cool. There's confusion here, but when you can wrap your head around this bike, it's great. So there you have it. That's the main differences between all these bikes. Over here, you got your Kenevo, 180 millimeters of travel, aggressive DH bike. You got your Levo, 150 millimeters of travel, sort of your all-around turbo mountain bike. Both have the same power system, both delivering a lot of power. A little more general, all-around, can handle anything. And then you have your SL, which is sort of the brother of the Levo. Almost the same geometry, same frame, slightly less power, acts a little bit more like a normal mountain bike. Very lively, very playful, and it's a fun bike. So I hope that sort of helps you answer a question. When trying to decide which bike is right for you, if you had to pick one, it's really a tough call. The best thing to do is, first of all, understand what all these bikes are designed for, and then also look at your own self. What style of riding do you prefer? What do you spend most of your time riding? Are you riding something aggressive, downhill? Do you want something that will do everything? Or do you really prefer that light, lively, poppy feel? You can take that SL and go ride that thing with people who ride normal mountain bikes. Turn the thing off, it's 38 pounds. It's incredible. It's like a normal bike. Turn it off and go ride with them. Or turn it on and go ride with people on e-bikes. So there's really a bike here for everyone. You just have to kind of look at your own needs, and once you figure it out, there's definitely a bike here for you. So I hope that helps you guys. I'm trying to make more of these videos. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. I always jump in there. I'm happy to help you. And I will see you guys on the next one.